Talend data integration training. Below topics, how we can start Talend Pony Studio, why we require Talend, how we can create job project, and those kind of things. This would be a total 4-day agenda. We will be covering each topic one by one, and this is the exhaustive list of the topics that we want to cover. Now, getting started with the Talend, what is a Talend, why we need Talend. So Talend is basically an ETL tool. So what is an ETL? ETL tool is used for doing extract transformation by a huge amount of data or data to be stored in data warehouse. So for data to be stored in a data warehouse, we have data coming in from different source system. It can be a flat file, it can be an Excel file, it can be an XML file. So getting data from all the source system, transform it into a one form so that we can do some kind of reporting or some kind of analysis on top of that data. So that is something transformation, and after that loading it into a final database, what we call it as data warehouse or the load process. So this is how the extract transformation load works in principle. ETL tool. So we have various ETL tools available in the market, maybe prior to this Talend as well. They are Informatica, OWP. There are various tools. So the advantage of Talend is it is a fully open source tool. So you can directly go on to the Talend website, you can install the Talend, and you can get started with it. You don't need to purchase any license. You don't need to pay a single penny to get started with the Talend. Having said that, we have an enterprise version of Talend as well, where Talend team provides support to your Talend team provides support for their product. They do trainings, and that is how they earn their money. But anyone can download this open source, and in this open source they have 800 plus connectors and components, which means those components are for the database connectivity, doing transformation from loading from a file, and various components for a ETL operation. It has a very good interface or Eclipse based interface. Basically Talend is based out of Java or built in Java, so it has a same Eclipse interface. In the Talend you can also see a Java code of a job, so people who are familiar with Java can recognize that very easily. It has a simple drag and drop approach of job design. So in Talend you have 800 plus components that is available in the palette. You can directly drag and drop onto the job designer. You can configure the properties, you can link them, and you can get started with your job. It has a business model. So here when we talk about connectors and other components or reading from a source, this is all from the technical perspective. But when we talk about business model, it has a good interface where you can make your business design or a design document which will give a high level overview of your job. So maybe what all sources are required, how transformation should work, a high level diagram of it, which can be represented with the business people or high management. Job designer, where you build all your components, connectors, and do your job design. It is a single unified repository for storing and reusing metadata. So all these things can be done with Java code or with any other code, where you can write your code, you can extract the data, you can load your data. But if we are doing that, we need to do it again and again for the other jobs. So here the major advantage is that it can be stored in a single repository, it can be reused. You don't need to redo each and everything again and again for the other requirements. And with any other code, normally it becomes very difficult over the period of time that changes and modifications become very difficult, and keeping track of the changes. So that is why Talend is preferred for the ETL. Here is a sample Talend ETL architecture diagram, or how Talend ETL will work. So, or rather, this will be applicable to most of the ETL tools or ETL processes. Here you can see there are various source systems, CRM, ERP, accounting, or many others. So in between you can see that there is a Talend engine, where we get data from all the sources. Talend engine process that data or extract the, extract that data, do the transformation on top of it, and load that into further into the data warehouse. So in principle, any ETL tool will work. So as I was saying, that Talend is an open source tool. So there is the Talend directory, there's the URL for Talend installation. You can directly go to this link. You can see that there are various data integration, all tools are available. So here, as they are covering this data integration, you can see there are various versions of Talend data integration is available. Here it is showing enterprise version. We have a free version as well, where you can directly download the Talend and start using it. Now, after that, what are the prerequisites for installing the Talend? Here you can go to this talend.com/prerequisites, and there you can get. So normally, or the as Talend is a Java-based tool, so we need to have some JDK installed. So if we are installing a Talend prior to 5.0 version, we need to have a JDK version of 1.5 or higher. And if we are installing a Talend with 5.1 or higher than 5.0, then we need to have a JDK of 1.6 or higher. So these are the basic requirements. Apart from that, it will ask for some kind. You need to have some memory available. I guess 4 gig of memory. And based on how much you allocate to your Talend program, you need to have your RAM available on your machine. So once we install this Talend from this download link, it will come it as this will come as a zip file. I'll show you how it will look like. So here 5.1 or maybe 5.4.0. So this will come as a zip file. I can just extract this file. So I'll be working with 5.4.0. Though latest version which is available in market is 5.6. So you can just extract this 5.0, look like this, where you get all the files and you get this EXEs. So EXE here you can see that it is for both 32-bit and 64-bit. I'm using the 64-bit machine, so I can directly go and open the. Here I can create a project explorer. There's my project explorer. Here I can create the project. Here I can import the project. I want to create a new project. Talend training. For Talend. It is always good to provide a description in any place so that it is more manageable. I'll finish this. So what it will do is that it will create a new project. Here you can see that Talend training. It is same as Java, so it will create a project in your workspace. You can go to this location and see that training is the new project which I created, which is available over here. Now open this. Here you can see that there's a view of the Talend job. This we covered project creation and starting the job. So I'll right click on the job design in my repository, create a job, or I'll mention rather as a hello world. Print hello world. And I can put similar thing or some description associated with this job. Here you can see that I can have a version associated with a job. I want to increment the major version. Here you can see that author name is coming as test@talend.com. However, with the enterprise version, if you are using the enterprise version and if you log in with your user credentials, so name will come or the author name will come over here with whatever login you log in, whatever details you log in. So I'll finish this. So this is how we create a job by right clicking on the job design. You can see that as I open this or as I created this job, in this palette I can see the number of components, and This is my job designer. You can see that there are various components for big data, business intelligence, data quality, and databases. In this databases, you can see most of the databases are covered. And even if you miss any database or new database which is not covered as part of this, you have this JDBC data, Java database, JavaDB, where you have this JavaDB input, JavaDB read, and TJDBC connect, those kind of things. So that way, say suppose you connect to a how you connect to a database in a Java using this JDBC connection. Same way you can connect it in Talend. There's a list of, we have orchestration process where we can read through the file, loop, run, unite, wait for file, those kind of things, processing. So there are 800 plus components which we can see over here. Now I want to see this. Now I want to get a simple job which is as simple as that creating a hello world program. Did at some point in time. So here we have different components. I can just copy a Java component, which is nothing, or where I can directly put the Java code over there and get it executed. Here, to start with, I am showing a very simple program. I am just printing the hello world. In real world scenario, we don't have such a simple job. So, but to start with, yeah, and we can cover the various aspects of this. So, if you see that I click this component, I clicked on this, I clicked on component, and I can print the code I want to execute. This is in the basic settings. In advanced settings, I can import the Java utility files. So I want to do some calendar operations, I want to do some file operations. I can import those Java libraries over here. So these are the various tabs in dynamic settings. Unique uh, in this view, you can rename this component name. You can see that here name is changing. So it is more for the readability purpose or the usability purpose, so that whenever we develop this job and we want to do the maintenance, having a specified name or a component name, what it is doing, that really helps. We can do some kind of documentation. This job is for printing hello world. Okay, you can associate it some, so you can do or you can provide some documentation with a particular component, so that you can refer that whenever you want to do some modification, some changes, or for the documentation purpose. So I put the values in the, or I configured this component. Now I want to run this job. So there is a run tab on side of this component. You can see that there is a run command. I run that. What it is doing is that it is compiling the Java code in the backend, and you can see that it finalizes the code and it prints it. So you can see hello world is printed on the console. This is a very basic thing, how a program can work in Talend. And here you can see that there can be a various components or sub job. There can be various components sub job. This how any and this is how any production or project job will look like, having various components, various conditions, and everything. And this is a very simple job. When we talk about ETL, or when we want to extract data, I want to extract data from various different sources. It is not necessarily be a single source. It can be a file, it can be a JSON, XML, Excel database. So there are various methods that we can extract data in Talend. So I'll get started with some of the things, and how we can run the job and debug the job. Let me show you. File input to take input from flat file. I created a new job. Here, if I want to take the input, welcome. So I just need to type input, and you can see that T file input delimited. And you can see that there are various options of file input. Uh, how you identify that which component you need to use. So based on the practice or based on the documentation, you can identify which component will serve your purpose. But in general, if I want to do some file operation, I can type file over here. I want to do some database operation, which is an Oracle. I can type Oracle over here. I want to do some mapping. I can type map over here, and it will return some row. So you can see that written map and tmap. I want to do some join operation, double match, and you can see that tmap, tgreen plum map. So those kind of things. But yes, how you can identify this is that by going through the component list. T file input. Now another thing that you can do is that you can hover over this component to get a brief description about it. So T file input ARFF reads an ARFF file row by row. I have here reads a file input row with the simple separated fields. So I'm looking for this T file input delimited because I want to read from some text file. I can double click on this, go to the component tab, and I can associate some properties over here. So which file I want to take? I have my file in Talend training Talend country1.txt. I took that. Let me open that file as well. So this is my file where I have country ID and country name. Both are the text or the string field separated by tab. The field separator I need to mention tab. I need to define a schema over here that with how many columns I want to refer, what are the data types, what are the column name. So this is country ID. This is country name. And how I can use the output of this or how I can read this particular file. In Talend, we have one component which is glog. We'll just see the description of it. A brief description displays the flow content on the run job console. So this input file delimited is serve as an input to tlog row component. And when we run the job, so maybe in this case we are using tlog row. We might be having writing it to the another file, writing it to the database or to the XML files. So that will be stored in a particular XML file, text file, or maybe database. But here I want to see how my data is flowing. I can use tlog row, which will print values on the console. Now I run the job, and here you can see that it is displaying the content of the file. So why it's coming as pipe? Because that is how the tlog row is configured. Field separator is pipe. I can do a tab over here or any other things. Now going in detail to the T file input delimited. Here you can see that I can provide the file name over here. I can provide row separator. I can provide field separator. It allows many field separator, tab, comma, pipe, tilde, anything. Now we have this header, footer. So here you can see that we have total 11, or we have set information as well. We want to skip the header. We want to say that this particular column is a header. We can mark it as a header. I want to remove last one row because there I'm getting the file information, how many records I received in a file. I can specify footer. I have a very big file, maybe of a 10,000 records or maybe 100,000 records. I just want to use first 100 rows or any limited rows for my testing or for my development purpose. I don't want to scan through all the job in my initial pass. So I can mention that limit over here. The schema is how you can define which columns you are extracting from the file, data type of it. If in case it is a date parameter, you can define the date parameter over here. Here you have options of skip empty rows and compress as if file die on error. So if we get an error, we can click on this so that instead of this job continues, it will die automatically. We can go to the advanced settings. In advanced settings, so we can have this. It should be separated by comma. Decimal should be separated by point. Again, this is available for the different languages. So maybe in US, UK, we have decimal. We can have point as a decimal separator. Maybe in France, we have comma as a decimal separator. So that way, provide this information. We have different UTF format, or we have different encoding format putting it. Extract files at random. We can mention some files that I want to select. So these are all the detailed things, which again check each row structure against schema, check date. Those kind of checks I can perform with this. Split row before field in dynamic settings. Again, in the view and documentation is the same which I showed for the Java component. Okay. So this now here, this is a simple job how you can read from your source. Again, there's a simple job. When I run the job, it displays everything. Now I want to go into the debug run mode. Debug run mode, what it means that how my data is selected in case of some transformation, how it is getting transformed, how it is getting loaded. So I can get row by row information. So if I click on this trace debug, here you can see that we are getting row by row information. That first row is this, second row is country ID is this. And suppose if I have some kind of transformation logic over here where it is running with the where two different sources or three different sources are joining, or there is a mapping thing. So it will show that this value come from source A, this particular value came from source B, join was successful, so it is getting loaded. Those kind of things that you can identify in traces debug, which is again, as the name suggested, which is helpful while debugging any kind of issue. Now if you see that we can create a metadata. So let's say there's an example where I'm just creating where I'm just using this particular flat file, but I want to use it 3 different times, or I want to use this file in 3 different jobs. Here it was very simple that it had only 2 columns, simple data types, so it is fine that I can redo this thing. But when we talk about actual scenario where we can have 20 columns, 50 columns, and to provide the name for the all 50 columns, providing data types of it, it becomes a bit difficult. So we have a concept of metadata where we can store data over here and use it for the data purposes.